welcome back to Strip to the Soul. If you've come back, love you so much. If it's your first time, I love you too. Welcome. We chat all things inner work, self-love, and everything it means to be a woman in this crazy, crazy world. So my name is Jade, and just thank you for being here. Today, I want to talk about detachment, the art of detachment, and how you can truly find freedom. And this is definitely a work in progress. However, it is transformative. And, I've learned, especially in the past year, that the art of detachment and letting go, whether it's people or jobs, situations, or even expectations, is key. If you can detach from these things that are happening, it will bring you so much peace and freedom, which truthfully we all want. And no, it is not easy, but I'm coming here with so much experience right now, because when I tell people like the last year, and I actually go into a bit of detail and depth and I don't joke about it, it's a little bit traumatic, like when you first kind of hear it, but also the roller coaster that I was on learning these lessons over the last year, like the heartbreak, the dating, the cheating, the job loss, the financial things, whatever it is, you name it, it really taught me so much. And so I wanted to share about how I've learned, the art of detachment and what that really looks like, and how it also connects deeply to your feminine energy. And detachment isn't just about ignoring your feelings or pretending like something hasn't hurt you or like you don't care, but it's actually about how you can find clarity and also the acceptance for what is, and not let it deteriorate your sense of self-worth. So attachment feels natural, right? When we are attached to things, yet it can be the thing that brings us so much pain. On an almost primordial level, we are wired for attachment to feel safe. And I feel like this is deeply rooted in belonging to, say, a tribe or a partner, or having a sense of purpose in this wild world. And we cling to relationships or a job or the idea of, who someone should be or who we think we should be. And attachment, when we do these things, it gives us this sense of stability, even though actually it's not real. And what happens is when those attachments don't align with who we truly are or who we've grown into evolve as, this is when the pain starts to set in, like the heartbreak happens, the constant overthinking, the restless nights of, not knowing an answer of if something's right or wrong for you. And these things will feel like they're out of our control. And this is when our attachment can become unhealthy. So for example, like if you've got a job and you've been in it forever, but it's not aligned to who you are, but you're so attached to the identity there, it drives you a little bit crazy, because you're ignoring your truth and you're not listening to your soul. And the same goes for relationships or even outdated versions of you. And that's a journey that I've had to go on, and I've been there. I've held on to people so tightly and situations because I was truthfully afraid and scared of the void that their absence might leave. Maybe I'd created a bond with someone, and I say maybe, yes, I did create a bond with someone that was damaging my peace by staying in it. And that time I was in that situationship, I gave and gave and gave, thinking that if I just loved a little bit harder, it would work out. And I tell you, it didn't, because it wasn't a healthy attachment. Or when I left my life in London, I really struggled because I was clinging onto the identity of who I was there and the life that I had built there, on social media as this fitness persona. And I had no idea what starting over would mean. And also I was afraid because I didn't even know who that was. But detachment, it's not about not caring all of a sudden and being like, oh, I don't care about that. It's releasing the illusion of control, because that's truly what the attachment is. It's an illusion of control, and we have to allow things to unfold naturally. And this often comes heavily from our ego and not wanting to, for example, look like a failure if you did decide to walk away from something, or if something didn't work out, or trying to control an outcome. If you're holding on to like a relationship so tightly because you're trying to get a certain outcome, even though it's not for you, or you become anxious in it rather than trusting and flowing. Like, this is where the pain can set in. And so it is like very kind of paradoxical in a way, and there is duality to it of it makes us feel safe, but it can also hurt us at the same time. And so there is this real balance that you have to find, and this art, like I said. So letting go is one of the most powerful acts of self-love that you can do to yourself when something's not serving you, but also when you are in your feminine energy, because feminine energy is about flow and being receptive and trusting. It's almost like we're trying to embrace life as it comes and trust that everything is happening as it should, instead of trying to force it into a specific predictable outcome, like I mentioned, in terms of a relationship. And I do love to talk about feminine energy on my podcast, but ultimately, when you are in your feminine energy, you understand that just like you as a woman, life is cyclical. And some people, jobs, and situations are only meant to be in your life for a season. And if you start looking at things as more seasonal, you become less attached. And that is okay, because detachment allows you to honor those seasons without resistance, because you know that every ending is the beginning of something new, and that things are actually happening for you and not to you. Like, things are happening for a reason. And say you are going through a breakup like I went through, that rather than seeing it as this big ending of what was, it's like, yes, I can grieve that and I can process it and accept that it's ended, but also detach from holding on to it, and now shift my focus and shift my energy into what is coming and what is this new beginning. And for me, this shift was monumental. When I started leaning into my feminine energy, I really stopped trying to control every outcome. I stopped sending those "what are we" texts to emotionally unavailable men. And I stopped trying to prove myself to people on social media, to jobs and bosses that didn't value me. Instead, I began to trust that was meant for me will not miss me. And that comes down to understanding my worth as a woman and also a human, because I was in a toxic job environment that I wasn't valued and I didn't feel it. And I could pour and give and try and work harder. But at the end of the way, I had to detach and know that, I deserve to be happy, and I know that what I'm doing is good. And if I have to walk away from something, or get fired or whatever it is, that's okay, because I'm trusting what's next for me. It comes down to your worth and knowing that you deserve everything and more that your heart desires, and that you are not materialistically, but love and respect and commitment and trust, all of these things. I have a masterclass on knowing your worth, but essentially you start to embody that power as a woman and trust that if something isn't working out, like a relationship, then it's not for you. And it's as simple as that. If that man is not texting you back, he does not deserve you. It is as simple as that. And then rather than worrying about why is this man not texting me back, you're like, ew, that behavior does not impress me. Like, I'm not attached. Ew, detached. Like, walk away. So easy, like breezy, beautiful cover girl, because you shouldn't feel attached to people like that who don't see your worth. You can apply it to love, life, business, all of it. It's applicable. But you do have to take responsibility for yourself. It comes down to you knowing your worth and also working on your attachment style. I am going to do a full podcast or 2 or 3 on attachment styles. But if you are familiar with attachment styles, you'll know that they play a huge role in how we form bonds and also how we let go. So whether you're an anxious, avoidant, secure, understanding your style can help you navigate detachment, because as an anxious, attached girly, sometimes I have tendencies, right? I need to really practice the art of detachment, and just like a muscle, sometimes you have to train things and constantly try to improve. We can't just expect to be good at something. We have to work on it. And that's when I say at the start of this podcast, it's about inner work, right? I had to do so much work on my anxious attachment tendencies because I had a fear of abandonment that I wasn't so aware of initially, and I knew I was clinging to relationships that weren't serving me, and I had to identify why I was clinging to these relationships. Ultimately, I feel like it comes down to my childhood and, feeling abandoned there, but also in another way, I do know that I have so much love to give, and I do desire a relationship, which I think contributes to the anxious attachment, that I have a slight fear of abandonment. And then also I just really want to love someone so much. Like, it's so true for my heart. My heart is filled with so much love, and I feel like I don't have anyone to give it to except myself, which is great. But I do find it hard because I want to meet someone and be in love. So it's difficult for me to hold back from getting myself attached, because I love to love. So if you are a lover girl, I am with you on this one, and I can relate so much with how hard it is. But I've done enough work on myself that mentally I am secure, because I know so much about, inner work and about attachments. Deep down, I might experience on a somatic level, on an emotional level, and a heart level, the slight feelings of attachment, but it's different to how I act because of the work that I've done and through therapy and a few, grueling plant medicine ceremonies. But I began to, recognize these things and start to soothe that inner child within me and reframe those fears. And I had to start to practice a little bit out of logic and coach myself in situations to not send that text or be a little bit more reserved. And it is a work in progress. However, it is something that I feel like I'm really great at now. And I know this because my friends will come to me and they'll ask me to write the text for them. They're the ones coming to me for advice on how to respond to a guy or what to say, because they know that I'm going to come at it from an extremely secure and healed place. And it's going to come from a healthy place as well, because I've done that work, and I had to learn that through trial and error, because I've definitely been on the other end of it where I've sent the anxious texts. There's probably been moments in my life that I went full avoidant as well to avoid the feelings ultimately. And the thing about attachment is it is rooted deeply in fear. The fear of losing love of someone, and you're not seeing in that moment that you might be losing something, but you're also gaining something too, right? It's also rooted in stability and validation. But when you can let go of those fears and start to work on yourself and do the work on yourself, you realize that true freedom comes from within and not from an external source. It's not something that an attachment is going to give you. If anything, it's going to hold you bondage. So how can you practice detachment? I want to break it down for you, okay? So first thing is you have to, this is probably one of the hardest things, is let go of the expectation. Stop expecting people to act a certain way or situations to unfold perfectly. Firstly, life is messy and people are deeply flawed. When you can take that upon yourself to release the expectations, you make space for reality to exceed them. Now, this for me is one of the most difficult things, but it's why I put it first, because you can expect someone to act a certain kind of way and then they don't, and then you're disappointed. And I've had this with men, right? I would have expected them to call when they were away or check in or plan a date, and they didn't. And so rather than having this expectation on them, I have to ask myself, does this align with what I want or what I know I deserve? No, okay, well then it's not for me. I'm not interested. I'm bored. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, I'm not expecting you to do something, but if then you are a certain kind of way and it's, you know, something that I've decided isn't for me, then I can walk away and I'm not attached. Whereas if you're attached to a certain expectation or an outcome that he's going to do X, Y, Z, that might not be reality. Life is not perfect. Maybe he's not able to do that for you, for example, if it's come down to dating. And it's how we can communicate our needs from a place of like confidence and security rather than neediness. And we can't always control life. And I think the less we try and control and the less expectation we have, like I said, we can let life surprise us. So number 2 is focus on the present. So often attachment is about the past or the future, like what could have been, what might be. And detachment is about staying grounded right here, right now. So rather than worrying about the past or worrying about what they're going to do or what they've done, ask yourself, what is here for me today? What is happening right here, right now? I see this really commonly with women and dating. And I know this because I've also said it. But like, oh, he was so good. He was so nice to me. He did this. He did that. What's he doing right now? How's he treating you right now? How's he showing up to you right now? Oh, he's ghosting you. Oh, he's hanging out with other girls. It's like, stop holding on to the past or stop thinking, oh, but he might do this in the future. Maybe no, focus on now and let someone show you who they are now. And ask yourself, you know, what is here for me? You can even set your own expectations of your own life and your own future. If you expect to have made 50K and you haven't, and all of a sudden you're disappointed in yourself, it's like, okay, you can have goals, but you can't then be disappointed within yourself. You just have to check in with, okay, well, what's here for me right now and what can I do differently moving forward to move me closer to that, and not be negative towards yourself and speak to yourself in a positive way. And that comes down to, you know, your own inner dialect and your own worth. Number 3 is embrace the unknown. So detachment does require trust in yourself, in God or the universe, in the fact that even if you don't know the next step, you'll figure it out, or life will figure it out. I think it's nicer to think that life's going to figure it out, but there is this co-creation that you do have to action certain things, but that even if you don't know what's coming, that it's okay because you know it's going to be good and you don't have to worry about it so much, right? So practicing detachment there and starting to trust yourself a little bit more will definitely help. Then number 4, finally, setting energetic boundaries. So protecting your energy, protecting your peace is not putting someone else's needs in front of your own. It doesn't mean shutting people out. It means knowing when to step back and honor your own needs and your own worth. So like I mentioned, like say for example, you know, if you find that someone is sending you a little bit crazy because they're not texting you, for example, or you don't know when they're going to call you or don't know if they're going to ask you out again, it's like detach, because right now that person is taking away your peace, and you have to set those energetic boundaries within yourself and honor your own needs. And if someone is disturbing your peace, like that is the foundation for everything, because then you're not going to be able to focus at work properly. You're going to be distracted. You're not going to have a good workout. You're not going to probably eat well, all of the things. Like, put yourself first and the rest will follow. I do like to always apply things to a personal experience, and I feel like it can help you in ways relate. So, you know, it's a journey that I've been on, and I've spoken about how when I hit rock bottom a few times in life, you know, I had no idea in these moments what my next move was. And this happened when I left London and came to Bali. It also happened this year for me as well. You know, I, in those moments, had to detach from everything I thought defined me. So my job, my city when I was in London, my friends, and that was terrifying, but it was also the most freeing experience of my life, because in the emptiness, I found myself. And I went through it last year a bit with ending a job I'd been at for 4 years and ending a situationship that I was in. And, you know, I felt like my friend circle was going to change, and did change actually as a result of it. And my day-to-day life, like the day-to-day life that I'd been living for 4 years of going to a certain place and doing a certain thing, it completely changed. And it was such, you know, painful time. But actually at the same time, it set me on a whole new path, and I got to have this new inspiring chapter of my life. And then when that came to an end, because like I said, things are cyclical and there's chapters and seasons, and it gave me an opportunity to reevaluate where I was at and ask myself, are these things serving me? Are they still making me happy? And I remember the pain of letting go of certain relationships in my life. And, you know, this was like men who couldn't meet me where I was, or friends that no longer aligned with my growth. And it hurt, like it truly hurt. But every time I let go of something that wasn't for me, like I said, I was making space for something better. And actually, funnily, I let go of that situationship that was so toxic. And 4 days later, I met a really great guy that I dated for a bit. And then when that, you know, came to a place where it wasn't meeting my needs anymore, then it's like being okay to let go of that as well. But it's just funny because I look back and I'm like, I was so happy that the situationship ended in the end, because it made space for something better. And then when that ended, it made space for something better. And then something better came along. So when you can detach, you can step into freedom, and you're no longer almost weighed down by the need to control your life, or also the fear of losing people. And yeah, we grieve people, and it's hard when people sometimes are only in our life for a season or a reason, and not a lifetime. As I said, I'm a big lover girl, so I struggle with this, but you can kind of move through life with more peace, knowing that everything that's meant for you is already on its way. And that's what I have to remember. If like the relationship doesn't work out, that like my husband will be here one day. And if a job doesn't work out, that's something I'm meant to be doing something else, that maybe this isn't for me. And it's not about being indifferent. It's about trust. Detachment is trust. It's about saying like, I release this with love, because I trust that what's meant for me will stay, and what's not will leave and take itself out. So it is a lifelong practice. And, you know, I'm sure if I start dating someone and falling in love again, you do have to just, you know, appreciate things for what they are, and try and, as much as you want to, you know, be attached to someone, also keep a bit of yourself and be sovereign and independent, and know that if it's meant for you, then it will stay. And yeah, it's a lifelong practice, but it will transform you. It will free you from your own chain of fear and control and this illusion that we have. And it's going to help you invite more peace and clarity and real relationship and authentic connection into your life, because it's going to be coming from a place of love and not from a place of trauma. So thank you. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes I think I've ever recorded. So thank you for joining me today. I hope this has resonated with you. I'm sure there's someone who could hear it as well. So if you know someone who's maybe going through it or needs a little bit of loving guidance, I would love to be that. So please do share it or give the podcast a review. I just want to say thank you. And remember, the art of detachment is not about losing someone or something. It's about binding. And if you can remember that, I promise you, you'll be okay. So yes, until next time, keep on finding peace, freedom, the truth of who you are, and stay true to your soul. Love you.